Yes, now we are discussing about food business. In that today we are discussing about cocoa processing. The outer shell of the beans is removed. Cocoa processing. We are discussing about cocoa processing. The outer shell of the beans is removed and the inner cocoa bean meat is broken into small pieces called cocoa nibs. The roasting process makes the shells of the cocoa brittle and cocoa nibs pass through a series of sieves which strain and sort the nibs according to size in a process called winnowing. And the next point is how is cocoa processed? To make Dutch cocoa powder, chocolate liquor is pumped into a giant hydraulic process where about half of the cocoa butter is squeezed out. Baking soda is added to the remaining material, which is called press cake. The treated press cake is then cooled, pulverized and shifted to form cocoa powder. And the next point is what is the difference between cocoa and cocoa beans. Raw cocoa is made by cold pressing unroasted cocoa beans. The process keeps the living enzymes in the cocoa and removes the fat that is cocoa butter. Cocoa looks the same, but it is not. Cocoa powder is raw cocoa that has been roasted at high temperatures. 5 simple ways. Next point is 5 simple ways to use cocoa powder. Warm yourself up with cocoa powder to hot chocolate. Pour some boiling water into a mug containing 1 teaspoon of cocoa and then stir. Treat yourself to a chocolate and banana protein smoothie. Kickstart your breakfast. Mix things up with flavorsome yogurt. Bake your own treats with cocoa powder. And next point is how do you add cocoa powder to coffee? You can easily add chocolate flavor to your next pot by adding a scoop, about 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder to your coffee grounds. Just mix everything well and pair that brewed coffee with a splash of cream to create a smooth beverage that is reminiscent of a grown-up hot cocoa. And the next point is how much is an ounce of dark chocolate? 1.5 to 3 ounces of dark chocolate is probably your best bet for seeing health benefits. If you are having a hard time visualizing that 1.5 ounces is about 1/4 cup of chocolate chips and 3 ounces is about half a cup. After that, the sugar and calories start to add up. And the next point is, does cocoa powder dissolve in milk? Once is just trying to dissolve it without clumping, as cocoa powder doesn't ever actually dissolve in water, which is why pretty much no matter what you do, cocoa powder will eventually settle to the bottom. I add cocoa powder and sweetener to a mug, then add skim milk. And the next point is it okay to eat dark chocolate every day? It is good for your heart too. Eating dark chocolate may lower your risk of cardiovascular disease. One study showed that eating chocolate 5 or more times a week lowered the risk of cardiovascular disease by 57%. But one thing I will say that dark chocolate is good for heart, but you should not also, if you take too much, it is also a big problem. So Take dark chocolates. It is good for heart, but it is in a limited way. And next, cocoa can reduce inflammation. It can reduce inflammation and support heart health. Flavonoids are a class of antioxidants that are abundant in both cocoa and cocoa powder. Flavonoids inhibit pro-inflammatory enzymes in the body, meaning that they have a widespread anti-inflammatory effect. Next point is, what is the source of cocoa? It all starts with a small tropical tree, the Theobroma cocoa, usually called simply cocoa, pronounced K-A-K-O-W. Theobroma is Greek for food of gods. Theobroma is Greek for food of the gods. Cocoa is native to Central and South America, but it is grown commercially throughout the tropics. Next point is, what is the use of cocoa powder? Cocoa powder is powder derived from the cocoa bean, and it is used in everything from baked goods to savory dishes to cosmetics. Cocoa powder is a key ingredient in things like chocolate cake, chocolate frosting, and other chocolate-based goodies and drinks. And the next point is cocoa fruits. We can see in gardens. First, we have to cut out from the trees the beet cocoa fruit in the middle to extract beans in that. These cocoa beans will appear with white jelly in that. Clean those cocoa beans, put it in a light steam to clear the white jelly, then dry out to sunlight those beans. Take those beans in a grinder, then you can see cocoa original chocolate. Add sugar and flavors to that. And next point is cocoa dark chocolate. Put that juice in plastic fridge panels. After 4 hours, we can remove from those plates. Your cocoa dark chocolate is ready to serve. You can supply to outside for orders also. It is costly chocolate because it is extracted from cocoa beans. Very good demand is there to this dark chocolate. This is the information regarding cocoa processing. Wishing you all the best.